What is going on, guys? My name is RhinoHorn18, and today I have an awesome gameplay of Face Off 2v2 once again, and this is me using the MK14 on a ground, and as I promised, I would be bringing more awesome gameplay for this new game type of the free maps for Modern Warfare 3. And today, since last episode, I got awesome feedback on my Scary Stories commentary. And I'm going to be honest, those stories were not even that scary. But you guys still enjoyed them. So it freaked some of you guys out. And today, I have a much scarier story. And I must give a big thanks to a friend of mine, Fire Spectrum J. He helped me out by finding me an awesome website for multiple scary stories. Thanks to him, I'm going to be able to read a ton of scary stories to you guys, because this website he gave me is stacked with hundreds and hundreds of freaky scary stories. Now without further ado, I'm going to start reading the story called Jane. So here it goes. I remember when I first laid eyes upon her. A beautiful young girl, not as old as 17, restrained in pain. Her long dark flowing hair covered her battered face. She put up a fight before being forcefully attached to a bed and wheeled in. Then a large amount of static crackled out on the microphone, into the empty room in which we were all seated. We cannot help but allow our eyes to drift over the beaten body of that young girl despite our orders being against doing so. Jane, do you understand why you are before us today? Jane spat at the ground, unable to form a sentence. You are the correct blood type, Jane. The future of medical science depends on the blood you have inside of you. Me and my colleagues all shared the same shocked expression of clean horror. All this to a girl for a type of blood? We could not resist his orders, however. We knew what would happen. Now send her to the block C2, Jacob and Adam. I watched as the two men wheeled her into the distance, down the long, white corridor. I could not let this happen. I felt a sharp pain jabbing in my throat. The feeling of seeing this girl die for a test was far greater than I could handle. I had to escape. Just had to wait for the cameras to turn, just for my time to run down that corridor after them. I saw my time to go, and I slipped away, my heart beating faster and faster each time I took a step closer to the corridor entrance. I slipped in just as the camera shot back to face towards where I had just left. I was so close to death, it was far too uncomfortable. However, I must continue to make my way to the lab, which I remembered to be C2. I heard the screeches of my shoes as they rubbed off the polished floor. I almost slipped and slammed into the ground. I had never been any further than B6 before. I wonder what was in the C block. Despite not knowing what lay ahead of me, I knew where I was. I continued down a longer corridor when I began to realize it wasn't so clean. Water was dripping, and I noticed the doors had been kicked in as if someone had forced their way out. I almost vomited from the smell. What was it? Then I noticed blood splashed against the door and a large hole smashed into it. Flies circled the room, making a faint buzzing noise. What I saw made me never likely to forget that day. Mutilated corpses, perhaps 2 to 3 weeks old, strange pipes hooked up to a chair where a body which had been drained was seated on. 2 scientists were dead, the cold blood staining the dirty white floor. I wiped my mouth, feeling the urge to vomit as I slowly began to squeeze back through the hole in the door. Was this why I wasn't allowed back in this block? Were these other test subjects with the other blood types which perhaps failed? I began walking again until I came to C2, which is quite a lot clean and appeared to be less tampered with, so I continued until I reached a dead end. I heard a faint muttering behind a nearby door. I got on my hands and knees and stared through the keyhole into what appears to be just darkness until a sudden light appeared in the corner of the room. It hit me right in the eyes, making me flinch. After rubbing my eyes, I looked to see Adam and Jacob with Jane in a room. They attached her to wires of many lengths and colors, some of which I could not recognize despite my many years of loyal work for the science lab. They then began extracting blood, or I assumed that was what the dark red liquid was moving up the pipe. Then I noticed another pipe which appeared to be pumping a certain liquid into her, a deep dark purple. Nothing like blood. Were they planning on taking all of her blood and using this fluid as some sort of alternative? Her eyes began turning white and soulless. I assumed she has died and almost cried out right there, until I realized she twitched slightly. How could she still be alive? The clear white eyes began turning into an evil black as she began to awaken. What was happening to her? I had no clue. I burst through the door, attempting to stop the madness. I gripped Adam's throat and saw him choke. I felt 2 heavy weights on my shoulders when I realized it was Jacob, pushing me onto the ground, and then began attempting to restrain me with some sort of leather strap. I kicked away, pushing him to the side of the chair Jane was on, when suddenly, a sight so horrific I could not believe it to this day. Jane started to scream and began snapping some of the leather straps that kept her bound down to the bed. Then the final strap came undue, and we went straight for Jacob. He was the first victim. I still had Adam after me, beating me with a blunt object. I felt blood trickle down onto my back. I began to black out until Adam began floating and was flung at the wall as if he was a rag doll. Blood and vials with various liquids splashed everywhere. Adam was out for the count. I screamed out for help as I turned towards Jacob. To see his skin removed, however, his eyes remained, and a crooked smile was on his otherwise mutilated face. She was gone. Jane was gone. I screamed out for when I heard a voice as if I had planted into my head by some hidden power. I am Jane. Thank you for saving me. However, these people made me better, made me stronger. They told me the objective. I shall kill him. Kill who? I shouted. I shall wait in the darkness of every human's house. I shall prey upon the weak, for I am the Alpha. They are the weak. Ever thought you saw something in the dark? Well, you were right. I am coming for him. I am coming for Jeff, as those are my orders. With that, the voice faded away, and I was alone upon rubble, tears streaming down my eyes. The blood shed today was like none other. Wow! That was a really creepy story. I have to say, it was probably the second scariest one I've ever read on here. And the reason I'm saying that it's really scary is because, in my opinion, it's that really, like, supernatural stuff that makes me kind of freaked out. You know, because the first time I read this, it was, like, probably midnight. I was in my room with the lights off, just reading this story, and it was really freaking me out because I was in the pitch black, and I felt like somebody was just sitting there watching me. And it's those kind of things like, you know, the Paranormal Activity movies that kind of get me going. Anyways, guys, this is wrapping up my Scary Stories commentary, episode 9. And if you guys would be so kind to leave a like and maybe a favorite on this video, then that would be awesome. And also a comment letting me know if it freaked you out, you know. And also, if you want to be given a shout out in one of my Scary Stories videos, then please send me a story that you find really scary, and if I use it, I'll give you a shout out in it. And put a link to your channel in the description. So just send me a personal message, and I'll get back to you. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.